It's a good time to learn about B'tachon before Rosh Hashanah, because as Jews we believe Rosh Hashanah Kasevu. On the Rosh Hashanah it is written, as Jews we believe that on Rosh Hashanah everything is written and everything is signed, and then Kippur finished. So whatever we want to accomplish for the next year happens in the next couple of days, and especially as we go closer to the days of Rosh Hashanah. Tomorrow is Erev Rosh Hashanah, and according to we learned last week that tomorrow the concept of the past year, the light of the past year, the energy of the past year goes to heaven and goes back to its source, so to say. And a new energy comes down, new light, a new beginning starts in the world. And the expression that Rebbe uses, it's Neirus Chadoshes, new avenues, new pipelines of sustenance and health and whatever a person is in need. These new entities come. These new pipelines open up to a person in his life. So, but the thing is, a person has to believe, and he not only has to believe, but he has to show it in the way of in his action. That first of all, he has a positive. He changes his attitude, whatever it might be affecting him in life. He changes that attitude, shows it openly, a different attitude, and he does the mitzvahs of the day, whatever the mitzvah of the day is of Rosh Hashanah. Whether it's for the food that he eats, to the davening, the prayer that he does, to the shofar that he hears, that we hear, all these aspects of the day shows that we don't only have the thought and we have the hope and we even have the belief, but that's B'tachon. B'tachon shows that you have a trust. It's not just belief. You can have belief, but it doesn't come into a reality until you have simply the trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you show it to somebody else, you show it to yourself, and somebody else can see it, even that you have this kind of emunah, that you have this kind of faith. That's why B'tachon is deeper. Aspect of B'tachon is deeper than the aspect of faith. Because B'tachon means I trust in God, I'm ready to fall back. He's my net, I'm ready to fall back upon Him. So that's the whole concept of Rosh Hashanah. The whole concept of Rosh Hashanah is that I have B'tachon in the Eibishter, right? I have trust in the Eibishter, that this is that this year is going to be a whole new start in life. So I found this, somebody found this on the internet. You have here in the Rebbe's own writing. The Rebbe's own writing. So he writes two things. I'm going to hand it out to you. I only have one copy. So the Rebbe writes, and he writes to those that are on Facebook. So the Rebbe writes in his own writing at the end of the letter. He writes, "Don't worry so much about business. More B'tachon, more parnasa." He writes that. He writes it in his own handwriting. And then he says in the bottom, he writes again in another letter, he writes as follows: increasing your trust in Hashem and true happiness on your own part below will bring about a similar increase in positive energies from above. So that's it. As the Zohar instructs, come and see if a person is in a state of radiance down here. The Zohar writes, the Eibishter says, the Bezdin Shomayla, the court above, says, let's go see how it's Yom Adin, right? It's Yom Adin, it's a day of judgment, not only in the world, it's a day of judgment. It says it's a day of judgment even in heaven. You see it in Salat Tekef, even the angels are trembling. So everybody's trembling, but really everything was created for the sake of man. So the angels above say we have to go down and see how are human beings how are they reflecting here in this world, and so too And they come and see the way a human being, how does he feel Al Shana? Does he feel vindicated and just? Does he have betachin? Does he have faith that the Eibishter is going to give him, bless him with a ksiv chsima teva, a written sign of a good year, or he has no betachin, or he doesn't have that faith. So the joy of person is down on him, an additional higher sense of joy, and this is the Rebbe writes. You can see it yourself, and you can see it. The Rebbe's handwriting himself that he writes about that. So we have to be able to strengthen our betachin, our trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu as we go into the new year. That as long as we do our avodah, now you might think that to do your avodah is a hard job, and it takes a lot of work, and it does, but you need to start somewhere. And the Rebbe said a story yesterday. We watched a video of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says that the Eibishter wants a person to put avodah. God gives, right? You saw you were there last night. God is a teva tev lahetiv. The Eibishter wants to give good, and he wants to give brachas. He wants to give blessing, because that's the nature of godliness, to be a giver and to give blessings. But the Eibishter wants a person should do avodah satzmai. God wants a person should do his own avodah. So you might say, if the Eibush is good, so I'll just do nothing. I'll stay home and I'll relax, and I'll see how much money's in the bank and after Rosh Hashanah. No, the Eibush doesn't want. The Eibush wants a person should feel that it's his avodah, that he's the one who worked for it and got it and accomplished this aspect. It shouldn't feel just a matana, just a gift, that he did avodah. So you might think you have to do a lot of avodah. So the Rebbe gave the story of the Gemara of the great sage, the times of the Beis Hamikdash, when they needed a certain stone in the Beis Hamikdash, a very big stone in the Beis Hamikdash. Malachim came to carry the stone, but they told the sage, as the Rav Chizda, they told the sage to put a finger to the stone. Rav Chizda Deisa told Rav Chanina ben Deisa. They told him to put a finger to it, and we'll do the rest. And that's what happened. Rav Chanina ben Deisa put a finger to the stone, and then the stone carried itself with the angel self, and it carried it to the Beis Hamikdash. So the Eibishter wanted that should be Rav Chanina ben Deisa who brought the stone to the Beis Hamikdash. Couldn't say he had enough angels. He could have done it without Rav Chanina ben Deisa. But the Eibishter, God wanted that every person should put even with a finger, put a finger towards the situation. So the Rebbe says that the question is, what are you going to do this year different than next year? What are you going to do different? What are you going to do different, even in a small way? What are you going to show yourself that this year is a new year? That not only you learned that this year is a new year, but how is this year a new year? How is this year a new year in reality to me? How is it? What am I going to do different this year than I did last year? And I'm not looking for big things. Usually we pick big things, we never do. So pick small things. Put a finger to it. Put a finger on it. Put a finger on it, and then let the rest. Let God accomplish what He's supposed to accomplish. We say the expression: open your heart, ki pisrei shamachat. Open your heart like the width of a needle point, and I'll open up the rest, and I'll open up the rest. I'll do the rest. So that's all we need to do, is to open our have betachin, to have betachin ourselves, have betachin that we need to do avodah, we need to do some aspect of service. Have betachin that service that we're going to do is going to have a great response. And because that's what we will promise, so we should have betachin on that promise. We shouldn't ever feel that we need to change the world. It's the beautiful thing. We're coming to the end of the Torah, and Moshe Rabbeinu was you can imagine Moshe Rabbeinu who wanted to take the Jews in Israel. Didn't accomplish that. It was a very depressing thing on his part that he couldn't accomplish what he wanted, what seemingly he wanted to accomplish. And the Eibush said, and God answered him, Ravlach, don't worry, it's not the point of Yiddishkeit is not per se that you accomplish something. It's that you do the Avodah. You're part of the journey. That's really what it's all about.
But isn't that an accomplishment?
That already is an accomplishment. But usually human being, he needs to see the end. That's our nature. We need to see where's the beef? Where's the money in the bank? Where is the completion of my service? That is what we always look for. So we look for what's the end? The truth is, the end is Mashiach, and the end of everything in creation in Torah is Mashiach. So until that end, we're just part of the journey. We are part of the journey of Yiddishkeit until the coming of Mashiach. That's what we pray, that the end should come. We hope Mashiach comes and we bring the conclusion of the journey. But even though you haven't brought the conclusion of the journey, you shouldn't feel that you haven't been accomplished, that you haven't done anything. You haven't done anything. So what you're doing is bringing godliness to the world, bringing spirituality to the world, continuing the journey of Am Yisrael, the Jewish nation, completing the journey of what the Eibishter wanted for the world, and that alone is a big accomplishment. That alone is an unbelievable accomplishment, and we shouldn't feel neglected or disappointed or feel that we haven't done anything. We haven't accomplished big things in the world. We have accomplished very big things in the world. We all cannot be the Raka or Weisbaz, the Bill Gates of the world, but we all, our small Avodah accomplishes a great thing in the world. How do we know what our small Avodah accomplishes in the purpose of creation? So therefore, everybody has to feel accomplished. And each one of us should feel that whatever we were supposed to do last year, we accomplished. Well, what our service was supposed to be done, we accomplished. And now starts a new Avodah. Now starts a new year. Starts a whole new beginning, a whole new service. So, if we go into this beautiful book, this beautiful sefer, which talks about the Tach, we didn't even start it yet. We're still in the introduction, right? So I said we're holding on page 12. You have your copy there, hopefully. Page 12, I believe. Yep, page 12 in this book. U'mete'elas ha'betochen. And in the te'elas, the positive aspect of having betochen, of having trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is the positive aspect? Be'inyan ha'Torah is with regard to observing the commandments of the Torah. Ki ha'beteah b'Hashem, because a person who trusts God is in a better situation than one who doesn't have betochen. Why? Because the Torah gives you the purpose in everything in life. Torah tells you why you have things in why do you have things in life? What is the need of things in life? So without the Torah, we basically don't understand why we need these things. Well, why do we need to have all these possessions or lack of possessions in life? What is the kavanah? Most of us think our kavanah in life is our financial. That's what we came to the world for. If we're financially successful, we're worth it. And if we're not financially successful, we're unworth it. We're not worthy. What is our worth in this world? So therefore, a person that has betochen, so that person understands through learning of Torah, understands his worth. He understands his worth. He understands his purpose. And that's most of us, a struggle in the aspect of what our purpose in life is. What is our purpose in life? What did God bring me down to the world for? Imagine Moshe Rabbeinu struggled with his purpose in life. All of us struggle with our purpose in life. What was our purpose in life? Most of us go through life and we feel like we have wasted our time. But if a person has bitachon and he has faith he has a trust in the Eibishter, and he learns Torah. So the Torah tells us every person has a purpose in this world. Doesn't make a difference whether you're Chayte Mitzach Hashem, it doesn't make a difference. You're Moshe Rabbeinu, a great leader, or you're a water carrier. Yeah. Why? For if he has money, he will hurry to fulfill the obligation of the He'll realize the Eibishter gave him money. Why did God give him money for? Why did God give him money? If I have betachin in the Eibishter, the Rebbe writes that the Birchas Hashem Yitasha. The Eibishter gives every person his money. Whether he gives him a lot of money or he gives him a little money. God is the one who gives you your money. So why did God give me all this money? That's the Gemara. The Gemara asks the question, what is a greater challenge? The challenge of wealth or the challenge of being poor? And the Gemara says the greater challenge is the challenge of wealth. Because the Eibishter gives you the money. Why does God why did God give you all this money for? What did he give you this money for? What do you need this money for?
To help others.
So you might think that you gave it for yourself. That's a problem. That's a challenge. We might think it was given for myself. Maybe she gave me the money for myself. It's my work. It's my effort. Maybe she gave me the money for myself, for my own needs. And I have it, and therefore the Rebbe should mean I gave you the money. I didn't give you the money for yourself only. I gave you the money because I want you to become my banker. I want you to become my helper. That's what I gave you the money for. I gave you the money. I want you to help me in the world. I trust you. I'm going to help you. I'm trusting that you're going to use the money to help me in the world. That's what you'll soon see. He says somebody who doesn't have money should say, "Thank you, God." Right? Maybe I would have used the money. So right now, I wouldn't have used the money. I wouldn't have used the money correctly, and I would have used it on everything else. But what the Eibishter gave me the money for. So. Thank God, it wasn't given the responsibility.
Haven't met anyone like that
conscience.
yet.
What?
Haven't met anyone like that yet.
But that because because we don't have betachin. We think that it's us. It's all about us. And what makes us big or small is all how much our portfolio is. Look what he says over here. So you write his obligation to the mighty, such as buying kosher tefillin, tzitzis, buying extra food for Shabbos meals, and the like. As well as fulfilling the obligation to other people, such as fulfilling the commandment of charity or to give out loans to those needs, and so on. He would do this willingly and generosity because it was given by God. Thank God, he can be the shliach of the Eibishter to help people.
Yeah.
He can be the shliach of the Eibishter to live, to have a beautiful house and invite more people. The person shouldn't live. The point is, a person shouldn't live. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was the wealthiest Jew in Yerushalayim. The Gemara says he lived in a mansion and had he didn't live in a hut. Avraham Avinu was the wealthiest guy. He was Machna Seder. He was open house to everybody.
Right.
So he understood the concept. That's why Avraham Avinu wanted wealth.
Why did he have a mansion? Why did he give
to be able to bring more people? Very much because he not only did he have more people in his house, but he had the capability of having influence on certain people. When he had the rulers of Rome coming to his table, so he used that all his money to be able to have influence and add it to Yisrael, and he did. And ultimately, because of his influence, he wrote the Mishnah. The Gemara says when Rabbi Yehuda Nasi passed away, he picked up his hand to heaven. He says, "God is my witness. I had no hanaf in this world.
He had no what?
No personal pleasure from this world."
Wow.
He lived in a beautiful mansion.
He didn't understand.
He lived. The Gemara says he had all the. There was always, whether it was in season, whether it was not in season, everything was on his table, because he says, "I used it out l'shem shemayim. I didn't use it out because I was a gluttonous person. I was looking for grandeur and glory. I used that everything in my life for the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he did. What is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi known for? Because of the wealth he had? Because of the Mishnah that he wrote. The oral law. Without Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, you wouldn't have Torah Shebal Peh. You wouldn't have the oral law. That's why it's not easy to do that. To be able to be able to use out your everything that you have, also for the resources, also for the sake of heaven. And if he continues, if he does not have money, then he will pay attention to the fact that the lack of money is actually a kindness from God upon him.
That's what the poor person
Why?
on the street.
This is because as a result of not having money, he has been relieved of obligation to God and to people. He doesn't have that responsibility. God didn't give him the responsibility to support, to go out there and to support synagogue and to support other people. He doesn't have the obligation. He doesn't have the obligation. Because most people that have the obligation don't do the obligation. And he has a fewer worries. Then you have to worry. Imagine if he comes back to heaven. What does he have to worry about? Maybe she's going to say, well, why didn't you build the yeshiva? I didn't have the money. Why did you help all the poor people? I didn't have the money. So that's it. See, what am I supposed to...
But he has other obligations. And
Okay, but this is a no. But money is a very important obligation. Right. It's not just another obligation. The aspect of tzedakah is an important obligation. We should realize that tzedakah is a concept of not just we translate tzedakah as charity, but tzedakah is righteousness. It's what you're obligated. If you have money, you're obligated to give tzedakah. It's not that we're supposed to give you a thank you, really, even though we do give a thank you. But really, it's not that a person has an obligation. Why? Because it's not your money.
Yeah.
You're basically supposed to give that amount of money to tzedakah. We're all obligated. The trust is, even an ani is supposed to give tzedakah.
A what?
An ani, a poor man, has to give tzedakah. Because it's an obligation. The Eibishter gave you that money to give to give to somebody else. He could have given it to somebody else. He gave it to you to give it to somebody else. You abuse the obligation. It's like if I would give you money to give to somebody else, and you would take it for yourself.
Yeah.
What would I say? You got it. I gave you the money to give to somebody else. You didn't give to somebody else. You took me. Oh, you're right. You need the money. Bye-bye. You're going to give me all the excuses. You need the money. You want the money. You don't want to get. What do you mean? I gave you the money to give to somebody else. So you took it to yourself. That's called stealing.
Uh-oh.
Tell me.
The Eibishter says, I gave you the money to give it to somebody else. That's tzedakah. You have an obligation. I gave you an obligation. I gave you this money, not to lay in the bank, not that you should have a portfolio, not that you should hoard it, not that you should have power through it. I gave you the money to give it to somebody else. So now you didn't give it to somebody else. You abused the money.
You're done.
Are you talking about going like past 10 or 15%?
Whatever you give, whatever. That's a whole different. That's al pi Allah. You have to give that percentage. So that's surely you got to give 10% tzedakah. So that's not your money. You're gonna. If you that's what it says in Pirkei Avos. Don't make omdinas. Don't sit there and make calculations in tzedakah that maybe it's. You have to be exact because you're not allowed to steal a penny. You're not allowed to steal a penny. You're not allowed to steal a penny from God either.
But what if you loan somebody the money and they don't give
That's
it back?
another mitzvah.
It's not a bigger mitzvah to loan someone money and they don't give it back.
Why is it a mitzvah?
Because it's the biggest mitzvah. It's the greatest mitzvah tzedakah is to loan somebody the money.
And they don't give it
back. So that's fine.
Why does
That's it.
Why is that
Fine.
for them though?
That's not that. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about them. They have to give back the money. That's the loan. They have to give back the money. But me, I that's their problem. It's not my problem.
And they have a chance to become
Does anybody here sit?
That's their issue. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about somebody else. Let's not talk about somebody else. Let's talk about me. Zalman Buket, the Eibush gave me money to give it to somebody else. The Eibush gave you money to give it to somebody else. What that person does is not my job.
Yeah.
That's his job and that's his worry. But that takes b'tochen, that I believe that the Eibush gives me the money. He's telling me if the Eibush said to Zalman Buket, you make $100,000 this year, a minimum God wants us to take $10,000 throughout the year to give it to tzedakah. So that $10,000 doesn't belong to me. If I make $50,000, so you can make the calculation. If you make $1,000, $100 have to be given to tzedakah. Then you're not obligated more than that. But you're obligated in that. So you can imagine, but trust me, it's harder for the guy who has $1 million to give $100,000 than the guy who has $1,000 to give $10.
Really?
Yes, it is. That's the Gemara. That's the challenge of a wealthy man, because it's a bigger. It's the same thing. A poor man that loses money he had $1,000 and now he only has $900. It's not a great loss to him. But a guy had $1 billion and now he only has 900 million. The guy is depressed. Because it's a big loss, $100 million is a big loss to him.
But it doesn't change his lifestyle.
Doesn't make a difference. You don't think in his mind, he's a poor man. He's a poor man. Today, to call a guy a millionaire is not a chachma. He's a billionaire. Now he's a rich man. A millionaire. Everybody's a millionaire. Right? You own a house, you're a millionaire. Next. So finish. Everybody's a millionaire. Now you tell a guy you're a millionaire. Boo, who cares? Everybody's a millionaire. Yeah, if you tell a guy he's a billionaire, no soon can be a trillionaire. You're a billionaire. Now we're talking business. Now we're talking serious. It's all in the mind. Ain't ani ela b'das. Poorness and richness is in the mind. Because ultimately, everybody needs to give tzedakah. Everybody needs to give tzedakah. As I said, tzedakah is an obligation, and therefore, the Gemara says a different expression. Ben Hehe, there was a great sage. Ben Hehe, he had no parents. His parents died. His father died before he was born. His mother died of childbirth. And the Gemara says, he said a sharp expression. He says, "Thank God I don't have the mitzvah kibbut aveim." Because the Gemara says kibbut aveim is a hard mitzvah.
What is it?
It's a hard, honoring your father and mother is a hard mitzvah. It's not pashut. It's if you know the laws of kibbut aveim, it's a hard mitzvah. It's not an easy mitzvah to accomplish. So he said, I don't have the obligation. I never had the obligation. I never had the obligation to do this mitzvah. I never abused the mitzvah. I never abused the mitzvah. You don't realize that even though you have a mitzvah that's a kibbut aveim, we all had a mitzvah kibbut aveim. Let's say our parents are Gan Eden already, But the question is, did we do kibbut aveim when they were alive? Yeah. Were we truly honored our father and mother the way halacha wants you to honor your father and mother? I don't know. The Gemara gives the mashal. What's kibbut aveim? Or the great sage Rabbi Shmuel, whose mother used to come and scream at him and abuse him in the Beis HaMedrash. He was the head of the academy, and his mother would embarrass him, in public.
It's very hard to.
And then he used to lay down on the floor that his mother should get into her bed. Right? So his mother, who would do that? So the Gemara gives you an analogy of what means kibbut aveim. That your mother comes and he would sit there and his mother would throw things at him and say she's a meshugana. She's a meshugana. No. But she would embarrass him. He would not say anything. And then he would lie down on the floor. His mother would get into her bed at night. Right? Most of it, kibbut aveim is not a simple mitzvah. That's why it says a parent should be meichel on kibbut aveim. The halacha says parents should be meichel. They should forgive on their covet. They should be forgiving on their children's on this obligation that they have, on the lack of kibbut aveim. Be meichel. Those that are listening, if you have children, be meichel, because it's not an easy mitzvah to accomplish. In the aspect of, because there's the aspect of kavod and moira. You have to have honor. You have to have fear of your parents. It's not so pashut. Tzedakah is not an easy mitzvah.
No.
It's not an easy mitzvah to we struggle with. We talk about that's why it's the most important thing in our life is to give tzedakah. We calculate. We're very calculated. Alter Rebbe, we're learning in Tanya these days. Alter Rebbe says we shouldn't be calculated in tzedakah. We shouldn't. We should give more than we're obligated to give. Don't be so calculated in the aspect of tzedakah. Because tzedakah changes everything in the world. Tzedakah is called kol mitzvahs.
You said there's a percentage, though.
Yeah, the law. But a person should go in this mitzvah beyond the letter of the law.
Okay. Like in the temples asking us for money.
Ever ending. You should always give. Be a giver. Never worry.
I pay my dues.
Yeah, that's dues. That's your obligation. You should go above and beyond that.
I do.
Don't, whatever you can give.
I do.
Whatever you can give.
So that means you give it after taxes or before taxes?
That's the whole argument. So really, it's after taxes. But really, you should give before taxes. You should give more. A person, you should not sit there and count the pennies.
Taxes, then you have to give more, which is the whole Indian.
Right. So before taxes, really. But then you can give it after. Really, halacha, you can give it after taxes. So because the tax is not your money again, so it's the government money. So
it's 10%.
Oh yeah, the government takes. Yeah.
Has been said regarding the one of the pious men, one of the pious men would say the following: God should, page 13, God should save me from the scattering of mind. They asked him, what is the meaning of the scattering of mind? He responded, were I to have money at the port of each river and the top of each city, I would be worried. Thank God I have no money. So I have no worries. What am I worried about?
Holy beggar.
It's it. I'm a simple guy. I have no money.
Can I just tell you a story?
Yeah, people on the thing so. Yeah.
Holy beggar.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Empty
night,
pages.
whatever he had in his pocket, he would give out
No,
to all
no,
the
no.
schnorrers
Right.
in New York. And at his funeral, they all came to his levaya. It was outside.
So that's it. So imagine he did that. I thought it was a great rabbi who Taka would give out. He would not have any savings. He would give out all his money.
Of course.
Before going to sleep, he would give out all his money. I think it was Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov would give out all his money. He would not have any money by the end of the day.
Ay.
And the next day, he would start again.
Yeah.
Every day.
Whatever.
Next day, start again. No, that is a just day, right? Give it all out. Have no money. That's it. And then start the next day. A new beginning. A new day. Whatever it's going to be for the day, move for the day. You know? But that takes betachin. But why do we say these stories about Shem Tov? Why do we say these stories? These were people like us. Well, Shem Tov was people like us. They were like people like us. So we say stories of tzaddikim, we say stories of these great people. It's to say we have to learn from them something. Maybe we cannot be like that, totally like that. But there needs to be some aspect of bitachon. There needs to be some level of faith, some level of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Less worries about it. More faith, whatever the Eibishter wants me to have, is that's what I'm going to have, and that's what I need.
Can I borrow some money?
My pleasure. This is what they say. Yeah. This is what they say, the rabbis of blessed memory meant when they said in the Mishnah of Pirkei Avos, the more possessions, the more worry. And when they also said in Avos, who is truly wealthy, one is content with his lot. Eidu Asher Sameah Bechalke. That's Sameah Bechalke. You know, again, so I believe, again, Asher, I said before, Ein Asher Ela Bedas. Wealth is not only wealth in money, it's wealth in your mind, the way you think who you are. What do you think you are? Do you think you're a worthy person, or you think you're an unworthy person? Do you think you have value, or you think you have no value? You have no value. A person that thinks he has no value. Chas v'shalom, a person should think he has no value. That's a terrible situation. It's a very sad situation. A person that thinks he has no value.
Very sad.
And it's important that we feel that we have value in life. We're an usher. We are a wealthy individual. Whether it's wealthy in talent, whether it's wealthy in knowledge, whether it's wealthy in money, whatever it might be. But we have value. Right? So do I need somebody else to give me value? Do I need another human being to give me value? Or the Eibishter, God gives me value? Who gives me the value? What gives me value?
That you're created is value.
Okay. But most of us need validation. That's a problem in general in the world. We need validation. Somebody has to tell us, you look beautiful, you're wonderful, your speech was good, heavy. We need this. You're right, but we all are insecure. We all are. You cannot take a person's insecurity away from them. It's important if you meet a person that needs security, and most of us need to have security here or there. Affirmation. And the Eibishter, that's why Torah gives you, if you have betachon, the Eibishter, he gives you your affirmation. He tells you, I love you. Right? You're my child. I love you. I give you all your validation you need. I trust you. I believe in you. Your husband might not believe in you. Your wife might not believe in you. But I believe in you. I believe in you. And if I believe in you, that's really, hopefully that a person will show validation to you is cherry on the cake. But that I trust in you, that alone should be something that gives you your value.
That's also sufficient if you give it to your children.
Agree.
It's going to make them better.
I agree. But the child also should be brought up that the Eibishter should trust him. He gets up in the morning, he says, Maidan Lefanecha. The Eibishter gave me my neshama. So I say, you should give your children validation. I'm not saying you should give other people validation too. But that's my avodah, to give you guys validation. And your avodah is to give me validation. But not that if I don't, you're not going to give me validation, I've lost my worth. I became worthless. I'm an ani. That's the thing. I'm a poor man. So a poor man who's needing, a poor man in the mind is somebody who needs constantly somebody else's money, somebody else's validation, somebody else's yashikoyach, somebody else telling me he's great, somebody else telling me you're worth something. So that's is that the chelik that the Eibishter gave me. The part of God said, you're worth it for me. The proof is you're here right now. So if you're here right now, to me you're worth something. To me you have a great value. Okay, whatever you say. But one who trusts in God will get all the benefits of his money. It doesn't make a difference how much money he has or how little money he has. He will get the benefit of his money. I mean to say the benefit of his livelihood. But the disturbing thoughts of a wealthy person, the disturbing thoughts of a wealthy man, and his constant worry will withhold from him. That's it. You want to have a person that trusts the Eibishter, don't have worries of his money. He won't have worries if he's doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. He'll trust the Eibishter. The Eibishter gave him this capability and he'll use it correctly. As a wise man, Shlomo Melech said, the sleep of the laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much. But the sage of a rich does not allow him to sleep. That's the problem.
Yeah.
A person who's worried, somebody's going to steal his money, somebody's going to rip him off, He gave too much money. He doesn't have enough money. He's worried about his money. He has daigas. He has fears and insecurities and etc. So what is it worth all the money? What's it worth all the money? And that's why, again, you could have a wealthy person who feels poor, and you could have a poor person who feels rich.
This temple is supported by very wealthy people.
This temple is supported by everybody. Baruch Hashem.
No, I'm meaning there's nothing wrong with being wealthy.
There's a gaval, Baruch Hashem, wealthy people who use their money to help other people.
Yes.
And Baruch Hashem. And they did it to help Eden, and that's the beauty. You need people to have money, no question about it. I'm not saying that's the opposite. A wealthy person that has betachin uses his money correctly. And we should all be wealthy, and we should all use our money to the good. That's it. I'm not saying everybody should be wealthy. Everybody should give a bracha that everybody should be wealthy and use it out to the good.
Amen.
Use it out for the good.
Yes.
Whether it's good giving to tzedakah, whether it's good helping people, whether it's good in inspiring others, use it out for the good. That's the point. The point is to use it out for the good.
What's the sense in having it if you don't use it?
Let's continue. Among the spiritual benefits of betachin is that the money that one who trusts the one who trusts in Almighty will not disturb him from trusting in the Almighty. That's the challenge. That's the Eibusha says. Again, I don't think it's only money, but the Eibusha says that usually a human being, when he's successful, he goes to his head. He thinks it's its own success. He thinks it's its own talent. And that's a sad thing. I think statistic-wise, they say that poor countries are more believers than wealthy countries.
Well, they think they have more to ask God.
That's right. So they have more believers. They're more spiritual people. More God, more people that they're involved in their religions. Because they feel that everything that they have is like it was given to them from heaven. The second you become wealthy countries, seemingly they lose their faith. America, Baruch Hashem, there's such an abundance, and everybody's atheists. Everybody thinks that God has nothing to do with the success.
The chaplain, I think, of Harvard is now, they appointed an atheist.
Yeah, that's
What
it.
happened on here?
So that's the way it is. So it's a
Harvard.
sad situation. But the Torah says that openly. The Torah says that openly. That success brings to ego, brings to self. To look at oneself more than, and that's a challenge.
Inflation, yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. The challenge is the Eibusha gave you a talent. How do you have this talent? Who gave you this seichel? Who gave you this brain? Who gave you this capability to do all these things? If I believe that the Eibusha gave me this, no, it's not me. Anything that I do is min hashamayim. The Eibusha gave me this talent, gave me this capability, and it's not my capability. It's not my talent. Because the second I feel it's my talent, I become egotistical. My ego gets involved, and that's why the sad thing is in the world. We have to have a tragedy to wake us up. To unite us, to wake us up, to bring us close. Why? Because sometimes it's very difficult for us as successful individuals to sit down for a moment and to say, "Wait a second. Where did this all come from? Where does all success come from? Where does everything that I have come from?"
Go ahead.
And that's the Nisayan. That's why the famous, comes Rosh Hashanah, reminds us there was a great debate in the time of the Alter Rebbe in the 1700s. There was a great debate when Napoleon went out to war with Russia. And the Alter Rebbe wanted Napoleon should lose. Right, most rabbis wanted Napoleon to win because they're going to be. They said it's going to be better for the Jews financially. Under the Tsar, it was harder for the Jews financially. The Alter Rebbe felt that this financial this democracy of Napoleon wouldn't be good for the Jewish people at that time in history. And there's a famous story. There was two great sages who understood that the blowing of the Rosh Hashanah, the blowing of the shofar, is going to change the tide of the war between Napoleon and the Tsar. And the guy, I've got his name, this great sage who got up in the morning to blow the. He decided to get up. He's gonna, instead of blowing shofar, be in the middle of davening, he was going to blow shofar before davening. So he got up and he prepared himself. And as he was ready to blow the shofar, he said the Litvak. Right. He said because the Alter Rebbe decided to get up earlier and blow the shofar earlier. So he said the Litvak, the Alter Rebbe beat me. He beat me to the blowing of the shofar. And Napoleon lost. Napoleon lost the war.
Was a Balchuva, a Jew?
No, but guy. But Napoleon, he wanted to make all Jews goyim, basically. That was his whatever. Oh. So, but Napoleon, so he lost. Because the Alter Rebbe felt that democracy, in a way, this democracy would bring about. The Rebbe says that was the time of the Alter Rebbe. The world has changed, Baruch Hashem, to better, and we should all have democracy in the world. That's the way the world is coming to be, democracy. But we should realize the challenge of democracy in the world, and even the challenge of democracy in the world right. So the Rebbe would always say, this is that the founding fathers of America didn't have the concept to run away from religion, right? It was not. It was the opposite. Is that everybody should serve God in any way they want to be. In God we trust. That everybody should serve the Eibishter in their kind of a way, not to run away from religion. That was not their kavanah. That we're going to have a world without religion, without God in it. Their philosophy was to have everybody should have freedom so it's not freedom from God, but freedom to worship God in any kind of way you want to worship. But what happened as time went on with freedom from God? It became freedom from the Eibishter, not freedom to serve God, but freedom from the Eibishter. That's the scary thing of freedom. But the truth is, freedom is an important thing in life. Everybody should be free.
Free choice.
Free choice. Everybody should have freedom. We should all choose. That's what Rosh Hashanah is all about, really. Rosh Hashanah is that every single one of us should have a free choice to choose the Eibishter. Don't do it because you're forced. Don't do it out of fear. Don't do it because you're threatened. That happened in Matan Torah, where God threatened the Jewish people to accept the Torah. But that, even in Matan Torah, the Gemara says, where God threatened the Jews, was not a complete acceptance. It had to happen by Achashverosh, by the story of Purim, where the Jewish people accepted upon themselves. But even then, with also a little bit of Haman. Today, before Mashiach, needs to be the receiving of the Torah and the receiving of God on your total freedom. Because I have betachon in the Eibishter. Because I want to choose to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not anybody threatened me, not my grandmother threatened me, not I'm a fear under anybody, not God threatened me. Nobody threatened me. Democracy. Freedom to serve God. I'm coming to Shul on Rosh Hashanah because I'm a free person. Because I've chosen myself to do that. I'm asking God I'm asking God to become, that He should be a melech over me, because I wanted to be a melech. I'm not forced. I'm not coerced. I want Him to be a melech over me. And that is a person who has total aspect of betachon in the Eibishter. That's what the Eibishter wants. You can basically say, I don't need a betachon. I'll go, Shani Kasevu, Yem Tzekibi, that Rosh Hashanah has decided what I'm going to make and what I'm not going to make. Depends the job I have. Depends if I'm going to get fired or not going to get fired. Depends if I'm going to be successful or not going to be successful. It has to do with my bitachon the Eibishter. It has to do with Rosh Hashanah, Yikasevon. Rosh Hashanah is written. It's funny that we all say these words. Do we taka believe in these words? Do we truly believe Rosh Hashanah Yikasevon on Rosh Hashanah is written whatever is going to be the next year? Mi yichya, mi yamas, who will live, who will not live? Who will be successful, who will be unsuccessful?
What is success?
Who will have money, who will not have money? It says it openly, all those things there. It's not that they don't mince the words. You can read it yourself. It says it with exactly. Who will be wealthy, who will be poor? Who will be healthy, who will be sick? So that's decided on Hashanah. And tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, mavira se'er gzeira. I believe that through my avodah on Rosh Hashanah, the Eibush is going to give me a phenomenal year. Everything is going to be unbelievable. That's betachah, my friend. That's the taste of trust in God, the faith taste. We should have if we can't have total betachon, we should have the taste of betachon. We should know what betachon is. We should have the feeling of betachon. A little bit the feeling of this trust. A little bit the feeling of this trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we should all we'll continue this in Midshem. We gotta try to finish this already.
Yeah, but you know
we'll
what?
continue it in Midshem this coming Sunday.
It's
Before
your
still we should all until then. What? Oh, Thursday we're having a class also at 10 a.m. I want to wish everybody Aksiv Sima Tova, Ashana Tova Mesukah. We should all be signed and written for a happy and healthy New Year, Begashmias, Beruchnias, physically, financially, spiritually. God should give you whatever you want or whatever you need, and He should give it to you even before you ask. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful, and gorgeous holiday.